Welcome to the deep dive, where we take source material, sometimes material that seems really simple, and we pull out the insights that are genuinely surprising.
And today we're looking at a narrative that's just beautiful. It's called The Lost Letter, a journey of honesty and kindness.
Right, and it reads like a children's story, almost like a fable. But our mission here is to peel back those layers.
Yeah, we're not just doing a plot summary. We want to uncover, the behavioral science, the psychology behind the choices being made here.
Absolutely. The practical takeaways about determination that are kind of buried in this very simple story about a girl and a piece of lost mail.
And the premise is so relatable. You find something, a wallet, a phone.
Or in this case, a letter, a sealed letter.
Yeah.
And you're immediately faced with a choice.
You are. It's an instant moment of truth, isn't it? It tests your character right there on the spot. So that question, what do you do? That's our launch pad.
Okay, so let's unpack that first small act of courage. The source is very precise here. It sets the scene. A cold winter morning in Willow Creek.
Right, and that's not just fluff. The cold is the point of friction. It gives you a reason to just keep your head down and keep moving.
You're already focused on getting where you're going. And the protagonist, a young girl named Rhea, she's on her way to school.
Exactly. And she sees something white just poking out of the snow. An interruption to her routine.
An easy one to ignore.
Oh, absolutely. Most people would see it, register it as not my problem, and just keep walking, especially when it's cold.
But she stops. And the description of the letter itself, I think, is really important here.
It is. It's not just some random junk mail.
No, it's a letter, and it's sealed with a bright red ribbon. That signals something personal, something important.
And critically, it has a name on it, to Mr. Arjun Sharma.
So that combination, the ribbon and the name, it just amplifies the weight of the decision, doesn't it? It defeats that natural inertia to just ignore it.
It does. It gives the object immediate intrinsic value. And this is where we see that choice between responsibility and, well, convenient.
My question, though, is what really compels a child to take that on? The source gives us her inner thought. Someone must be waiting for this. I need to help. But isn't that a little idealized? What's the real psychological driver there?
That's a great question. It's not just pure, simple altruism. It's about internal consistency.
Okay.
Once she acknowledges the letter's importance, if she walks away, she's basically violating her own self-image as a good, helpful person.
So it creates this tiny bit of moral discomfort.
Exactly. The courage here isn't fighting a monster. It's just the small, quiet act of aligning your actions with who you think you are.
So picking it up is just the first step, the lowest hurdle, really.
Easy part, yeah.
Because the real story, the real lesson is in what happens next. Finding this Mr. Sharma was not easy at all.
And that's where this simple story becomes like a powerful blueprint for determination. The source says, days passed.
That phrase is doing so much work.
It really is. It tells you that initial spark of kindness had to be sustained. It had to survive frustration and dead ends.
And Rhea didn't just give up after one try. She basically becomes an amateur detective. We should probably list out her efforts because the scope is just incredible.
We should. Think about the energy she spent. First, the logical steps. She asks neighbors. She checks nearby streets.
Which means knocking on doors. That takes real courage for a kid.
A lot of it. Then she tries the official route, the post office.
Yeah.
You can just imagine how frustrating that probably was.
Sorry, can't help you.
Right. So then she moves to community hubs. She's showing the letter to shopkeepers, to bus drivers, even her teachers.
It's an exhaustive search. I mean, most adults would have given up after the post office, right? They'd drop it in a mailbox and say, I did my part.
Yeah, their obligation is fulfilled. But Rhea pushes past that point of, rational diminishing returns.
So why? What keeps her going?
This is where it gets interesting from a behavioral standpoint.
Yeah.
Once she invested a day, then 2 days, she started building what you could call a positive sunk cost.
I see. So she's put in so much effort that quitting now would feel like she wasted all that time?
Precisely. It wouldn't just be failing Mr. Sharma, it would be invalidating her own hard work. The longer she searched, the more committed she became.
So her past actions were actually fueling her future determination.
It's a feedback loop. And the source points out what she learned along the way.
Right. There were 3 key lessons.
Yeah, the first 2 are kind of what you'd expect. Be patient, never give up.
Yeah.
But the third one is the real insight here.
Every person has a story.
Every person has a story. She started seeing people like bus drivers and shopkeepers not as background characters in her life, but as nodes in a network.
As potential sources of information.
Yes. She turned what was a solitary task into a distributed, community search effort. She learned to network out of sheer necessity.
You know, if you translate that to, say, a professional challenge, that's a brilliant model for problem solving.
How so?
Well, when you hit a wall on a big project, the answer rarely comes from just staring at the problem harder. It comes from talking to people outside your immediate team.
The bus drivers and shopkeepers of your office.
Exactly. The people in other departments you never talk to. Rio is showing us this persistence multiplier in action.
Small acts of effort, just asking one more person multiplied over days, can yield these huge results.
Okay, so the days are passing. She's determined, but she's getting nowhere. And then we get the turning point, the breakthrough.
The hint. After all those dead ends, she shows the letter to an old man. And it isn't the name that rings a bell.
It's the handwriting.
It's the handwriting on the envelope. Such a wonderfully human detail.
That one personalized clue is the key that unlocks everything.
It is. The man gives her the address. The old house at the end of the street.
Can you imagine the relief, the excitement? After days of nothing, she finally has a destination.
And the source says she ran, holding the letter close to her chest. This is it. This is the moment persistence becomes payoff.
And the meeting itself is just so powerful. An elderly Mr. Sharma opens the door, and his hands are described as trembling when he takes the letter.
He must have thought it was lost forever. Which brings us to the big, so what? Why did this matter so much?
This wasn't just a friendly note.
Not at all. The source tells us the letter contained good news about an old family property. And more than that, there were important, time-sensitive instructions inside.
Wow, so this was genuinely life-altering.
Absolutely. Ria's honesty, which was sustained by this incredible determination, literally secured this family's future.
And she did it all without knowing what was inside. She had no idea of the stakes.
That's the crucial point. She wasn't motivated by the potential importance. She acted purely on the principle that the letter deserved to be delivered. Her effort wasn't transactional.
It was principled. She wasn't looking for a reward just for the completion of a duty she'd assigned herself.
And that's why it's such a great lesson in, long-term project management or innovation.
Yeah.
You invest because you believe in the process, not because you're guaranteed a payoff tomorrow.
And this is where it gets really interesting. The source moves from just telling the story to explicitly breaking down the lessons learned.
It creates a framework, yeah.
Yeah.
And it focuses on the reciprocal nature of all this.
First, the big idea we've been talking about. Small acts of courage can have a huge, tangible impact.
But then it turns inward. It focuses on Ria's internal reward. She learned that helping others feels amazing.
And that being honest is its own reward. That's the intrinsic motivation that will fuel her next good deed.
And the story gives that a physical form, too. Mr. Sharma gives her a gift.
A book full of stories. Not money, but something that encourages more learning and more imagination.
It's such a thoughtful, perfect gift. It acknowledges her effort and encourages her spirit. And his final words to her are basically an instruction.
May you always help others and inspire them.
Yeah, it's a call to action, to keep using that persistence, that integrity to make a difference.
So if we zoom out, this little story is really a masterclass in how virtues aren't just passive qualities, they're active tools for solving problems.
Right. Honesty, courage, kindness, patience, determination. Ria used all of them to solve what was actually a complex logistical challenge. It just proves that every good deed counts, especially the ones that take real, sustained effort.
So this deep dive really showed us how a simple story about a lost letter is actually a sophisticated lesson plan on character. The determination wasn't just some innate trait she had.
No, it was cultivated. It was reinforced by that psychological need to validate the effort she'd already put in.
That persistence multiplier is the key takeaway for me. It took days, it took failures, it took a whole community network to deliver one small letter.
A letter that changed a family's future. So if we take Ria's unwavering commitment as our final lesson, think about your own life for a moment.
We want to challenge you with this. What project have you put aside? What goal just needs one more day of effort, one more person asked, one more push past that initial wall of frustration?
What seemingly lost project or forgotten detail in your own work might yield enormous life-changing results if you just applied Ria's level of unwavering multi-day determination to it starting today.
Maybe your next big breakthrough is out there, just waiting in the snow, needing one more day of consistent effort to find its recipient.